So, all right, here's my third proposition for you, John. So again, building on what you said.
Yep.
So I gave the example of Valve, which essentially is still a smaller, newer company, which has the benefit of not having a legacy, traditional, cultural, but starting new with a great new culture. But many great companies have been out there for many decades, sometimes more than a century. So my question to you is, my proposition is, should large established firms, maybe as a transitional matter, have an ambidextrous organization, a two-handed culture that combines both execution of incremental innovation, the core, but also a more open, self-managing culture that's open to challenge the status quo. So just to use the metaphor of a tennis or a great football player, they use typically both limbs, Messi, Ronaldo, etc. Federer, Nadal. They have one limb which is great at executing in a more predictable way at a very high level, but they also use the other limb to surprise the competition. So what do you think about that?
Well, let's first get clear that smaller companies are not nirvana. So sometimes you hear large companies talking about, I want more to be like Joe in the garage. and okay, that's a healthy challenge internally that you put up as a large corporation, but small companies actually sometimes want to be more like larger, but the good larger companies, because as I always say, innovation is creativity and discipline. Yep. It's not only the creativity part. Actually, it's ironic that most people focus on the creativity part, but innovation is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration, right? Yeah. It's not only about hackathons and the brainstormings and going off-site and da-da-da. It is also about how you then select the right ideas and move them to successful commercialization. So anyway, there is creativity and discipline that a corporation needs to have. And I think both can learn from one another.
Absolutely.
Now, specifically to your point on ambidexterity of a large organization, I think that's very true. Yeah. I would, however, say it should be grounded in innovation is everyone's job. Yeah. Everyone should be looking within a corporation, how can I do my job better, and how can I do better for the corporation? Mm-hmm. How can I develop products that are better, or better products that are better, and processes that are better?
I agree with that, but can I just, to make ambidexterity clear and practical to the viewers, maybe with this example, interject the example of Lego. I'm sure a company you like too, this iconic toy company. Well, Lego in the early 21st century had a major financial crisis. Why? They suffered from a traditional to incremental culture of innovation. So after the financial crisis, they brought in a new chief executive. And this chief executive basically, he did many things, but one of the essential things was to create an ambidextrous organization. So he basically said, look, let's create a new business unit with a new self-managing culture that embraces open innovation, challenge the status quo. Shield it from the traditional business units. Of course, discipline the traditional business unit, but let them focus on the core, executing incremental innovation. So you have two business units, a more open innovation, self-management driven business unit, a more core execution business unit, and then on top of that, at the corporate level, of course, you need some coherence. They have an executive innovation governance group that integrates when necessary and brings coherence across the two business units. What do you think?
Yeah, Lego is, I'm not sure if you knew this at the start or whether we just come up with the example, but Lego happens to be my favorite case. So if in my classes, I use several cases, and Lego is my favorite one. So I know Lego reasonably well. I've been studying them a bit as foundation for my case work, and they are a fantastic example. I mean, Lego is just such a great company, and you mentioned the CEO. I mean, Knutstorp, who came in a company that was in such a deep hole, and was able to go and not only get them out of the hole, but use it as a transformation of the corporation into the powerhouse that they represent today is just incredible. I'm not sure if you know the story of how his strategy to get out of the hole they were in. Have you heard the story?
Go ahead.
So he comes in, I wasn't there, but I can visualize the setting. He goes to the board and he presents a plan to go and get Lego out of the rut that they are in, with all the financial challenges that they have. I mean, they were burning cash and very close to bankruptcy. He comes in, he presents a 9-year plan. A 9-year plan. Can you imagine? Can you imagine the reaction of the board? We need a 9-month plan, please. But he stuck to it, and that was the basis of the transformation that Lego has gone through. And the plan was also very smart. It was a managing for cash, managing for value, and managing for growth. Very, very responsible, very smart. And as a part of that, that's leading to your point on ambidexterity. What he also did is he got back, he tightened Lego's core. Lego lost the focus on the core, as you well know. And so what he did is he defined the core very clearly, and then he stretched the core. And that's the incremental innovation that is part of innovations, everyone's job. But this is a part of that job. It's the incremental side. But he didn't stop there, because that's what most companies would then do. They say, okay, we want to get back to the core, and they become paralyzed around the core. But he also knew that he had to go and stretch a part of his organization to work on bigger and better and newer ideas. And they did a lot of crowdsourcing there, which is back to your point on open innovation. Absolutely. And that's where they got the fans of Lego came in, and that's where the connection with this is how Lego got to this fantastic combination they live today of the physical and the digital world, which is again an example for many companies around. And so that's the ambidexterity, which I think you're talking about. Straight through your core, understand what your core is, and build your core through incremental innovation, and then go and also make sure that you're effective in finding ways to responsibly and smartly, stretch it.
Absolutely.
So totally agree. It was your specific question. I totally agree with your submission.
So we both love the Lego case, but at the end of the day, the Lego case is also a very risky case to teach. Why? They needed a financial crisis, a severe financial downturn to do all of this. But then you arrive in a life and death situation. Much better it is, of course, to anticipate and do it before you have a financial crisis that threatens your sheer survival.
Yeah. Well, yes, and there's two parts to that. One I always say, never waste a good crisis. Yeah. So that will be one thing once you're in it, and so leverage it when you have it, make bold decisions when you have it. But ideally, prevent the crisis from happening by not only learning from failure, but also learning from successes. And companies, they find it sometimes hard to learn truly from failure, not even to learn from success, and not even talking about learning from successes, because what happens when it's success, everybody's patting each other on the back. We must be the smartest management team around. And they expect success to last for up to 50 years. And in today's world, my God, that's the most dangerous situation you can ever be, that you can ever find yourself in. So challenge yourself. Understand where your growth comes from. Legos, sorry to get back to Lego for 1 second. Legos find themselves into the challenging position they were at because they still had a healthy growth after Eastern Europe opened up. And so they saw, well, the growth was looking good for some years until that sort of got saturated, and bang, that's when the big hit happened. So always understand, what are the detailed dynamics of your business, what channels, what countries, what regions, what new developments, what products is your business growth coming from? Absolutely. So that you can go and indeed anticipate it and make the changes before somebody else, make the changes to your own portfolio before somebody else does it to you. The famous concept of S-curve, right? Absolutely. You want to be the next company that builds the new S-curve before somebody else does it to you.
So, fantastic. Thank you so much for your passionate explanations and stories, etc. Thank you, John. This may be the right moment to conclude. Management innovation, paradoxically, is probably the most underappreciated but also most strategic type of innovation. Why? Because it facilitates the execution of all other types of innovation, whether it's business model innovation, radical or disruptive innovation. John, thank you so much for this very passionate discussion.
Yeah, I'm sorry it's already over, but good luck with your course. And if I can help in any way, then let me know.
Excellent. Let's drink to that.
Let's drink to that.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay, thanks everybody for witnessing this interview. Don't forget to tune in for the next step.